Your forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, it was an active afternoon and evening across central Illinois, but the good news, all of those storms pushing south and out of the area over into Indiana and Kentucky. But that line, when it rolled through, definitely left a mess in many areas with showers and storms. And I tell you, look at this map. It shows all of the different wind damage reports across parts of central Illinois. Northern Illinois really got hit and closer to the Chicagoland area. Good news is that those storms, again, are out of here. But not before we had winds between 60 and 75 miles an hour. Storms gone, temperatures down, feeling a lot better. 70 in Champaign, and we're going to be back up in those lower 80s tomorrow. No severe weather. We will talk about more rain in the forecast when we come back. WCIA3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA3 News.
A church is no longer standing after a fire destroyed it tonight. What officials say may have started it. One school district's reopening plan has been approved. What comes next for students and families?
They won't play.
But no one knows yet if college players in the Big Ten will be able to.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA3 News at 10.
It's sickening. It hurts. I mean, for the whole community, it's going to hurt them.
That man watched as the church he got married in burned to the ground, and tonight crews have spent hours trying to put out those flames. Good evening, I'm Jessica Coons. The fire department got the call around 5 o'clock today, right in the middle of today's severe weather. When crews got to Walnut Corner Church in Bismarck, the entire building was in flames. WCIA3's Jennifer Jensen is live there now. And Jennifer, this place meant a lot to some people, and it's still burning there behind you.
Jessica, it sure did. Tonight I spoke with a couple who got married at this church 20 years ago, and they told me it was devastating to watch it burn down here tonight. I also spoke with the fire chief earlier today, and he told me that they believe this fire started because a lightning strike ignited the flames. The building collapsed as firefighters continued to put out those flames earlier today. Nobody was physically hurt, but tonight we talked with a family who shares a lot of history here, and they told me emotionally it was painful to watch this fire. Stacy and David Nicholson were married here 20 years ago, and also were several of their family members.
2 years ago, this coming October, was the last wedding that took place in the church, and that was our oldest daughter, her Ashton, when her and her husband Scott got married there.
The church did not have an active congregation, and no one was inside when that fire started. Live in Bismarck, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA3, your local news leader.
All right, Jennifer, thank you for that report. As you heard, officials are looking at weather as a possible cause for that fire, and that wasn't the only area hit today. A strong line of storms blew through central Illinois, bringing harsh winds with it. Gusts were strong enough to bring down trees like this one in Champaign. The homeowner says she heard the snap and boom of the tree hitting her roof. This is not the first time a tree has come down in her yard. She also had to deal with this in the ice storm of 1990.
And I had a Chinese maple in the backyard there that came down on my house and pulled the power line from the main pole line. So yeah, I had visions of tree coming through my house because I knew it was the pine tree and it was much heavier than the Chinese elms.
She says she's thankful she only has minimal damage. Over in Urbana, a couple whose home was also damaged say they knew severe weather was on the way, but this was a surprise.
So we came outside to take a look, and we saw the sky turn grey and the winds pick up. It got a little bit scary, so we went back inside, and then next thing that happened, there was this huge crash, and the tree was through a window there.
They say no one was hurt. To see more coverage from today's storms and stay up to date on weather near you, you can download the WCIA3 weather app. In other news tonight, Champaign School Board has voted to approve the revised reopening plan that puts the entire district into remote learning for the first quarter. WCIA3's Jen Lask joins us live from the newsroom tonight. Jen, that meeting lasted several hours, just ended. What will that plan look like?
Well, for starters, Jessica, they're pushing the start date of school back from August 24th to August 26th. Now, when the district returns throughout next week, the district will be distributing Chromebooks to make sure every student has access to one. We've shared that pickup schedule on our website, WCIA.com. Superintendent Susan Zola also broke down the ways that the district will make sure students have Wi-Fi access, ranging from spaces outdoors near select buildings to subsidized internet to a limited number of Verizon hotspots. All of this leveled off families 1 through 4. Now, board members talked about the importance of making sure students who are left behind during the spring's remote learning format don't get lost this year.
I ask again, like I asked before, does the current framework or the model serve both children and adults? Or is it what's best for adults? I think I speak for the board, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that this board asks, demands, and requires that it be what's best for students.
I made the point the other day that somebody keeps saying, a few people keep saying, I'm glad I don't have a kid in school. You do. If you're a taxpayer, you have a kid in school. If you're a citizen, you have a kid in school.
The district is also setting up more resource centers and making sure if they notice students aren't signing on for their classes online, they aren't immediately disciplined necessarily, but there's also a chain of educators who can reach out to them and their family and make sure that they're doing okay throughout this time. Now, the board also passed a mask enforcement policy tonight, and that policy says that students can be excluded from activities or sent back to a virtual learning format instead of the hybrid if they aren't wearing the mask coverings that are being required at all school buildings. Live in the newsroom, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, Jen, thanks for those updates. While some districts chose to move school online, others are giving families a choice to attend in person. But even if students head to their buildings, things will not look the same. Shared upholstered furniture is banned at one school, and several high schools aren't using lockers. The state has given all schools some leeway in how they prepare. You can read different plans on WCIA.com. Also on our website tonight, information about iPad distribution in Decatur. That school district will be fully remote for the first quarter. High school students should have their devices all ready. If you have a child in elementary school, head to WCIA.com to see the day your pickup will happen. Principals will contact you about specific times. One department is making it easier for U of I students to study remotely. The electrical and computer engineering staff put together hundreds of lab kits to send to students. Inside are parts they will need to work with the equipment for their classes. They say this will give them the resources they need for virtual learning.
It's a difficult time for us. It's a difficult time for students, right? And so we really want to make sure that the experience that the students have is as positive as possible. And so that's really what's motivating us to spend this extra effort at this point in time, is to try to make this first-year experience as good for our students as possible.
This week, they're putting together about 1,800 kits for undergrads. People of all ages are feeling the economic strain of the pandemic. Now the U of I could be giving its students a bit of relief. The executive committee approved a resolution today giving the chancellors the authority to reduce student fees this year. Those fees were set in January, so the pandemic has impacted some of the services they pay for, like student recreational facilities. This decision does not affect tuition rates. The trustees also voted to expand the school's COVID saliva testing nationally. The test has already been rolled out at UIUC and expanded to UI Chicago and UI Springfield. The national rollout will operate independently from the statewide program. System President Tim Killeen says expanding the saliva-based testing to the rest of the country is a natural step.
These initiatives fit hand in glove, we believe, with our land grant mission, a role we have filled with special distinction during the COVID-19 crisis, from leading-edge epidemiological modeling to frontline care in our healthcare enterprise in Chicago.
Test results come back within several hours for the saliva-based testing, and it costs less to produce than nasal swab tests. Looking at today's COVID-19 numbers, there are more than 1,300 new cases. That brings the total up to more than 195,000 in Illinois. One more person has died. There are now more than 7,600 COVID-related deaths. No official decisions have been made about college football this year, but several reports say a football season is unlikely to happen. Amid all the doubt surrounding a season, the Illini have made it clear they want to play. Dozens of athletes have shared their thoughts on social media under the We Want to Play movement as they wait for the Big Ten to announce a decision.
I want to play, they want to play. They tell us we can't play right now. When's the next time we can play? If that's the spring, so be it. Eventually, we're going to have football, so we're going to embrace that time whenever it comes. Right now, no one has told us we're not playing right now, so we're looking forward to that opening game. If things change and they say it's the spring, we'll look forward to the spring.
Some Big Ten coaches have even considered leaving the conference if the Big Ten decides to cancel the season. We'll have much more on this coming up in sports. This just into our newsroom tonight. Champaign police are on the scene investigating shots fired at Maple Park Drive and William Street. That's right by Kenwood Elementary School. Our crews say there are at least 10 evidence markers in the road, but no word yet if anyone was hurt. We will work to get more information and keep you updated. It's a deadly blast that severely damaged a city on the other side of the world. How one man in central Illinois is trying to help. Plus, this home was hit by a tornado more than a year ago, while the owner says it still hasn't been fixed. And COVID-19 could not stop this annual event, but it's also a first without a familiar face.